everybody. This is Patti Negri. Welcome to the Witching Hour. Yes, that hour of the day when the veil is thin and magic happens. Whenever you happen to be tuning in, I have a very magical guest for you today. Let me introduce you to MJ Dickson. She's a paranormal investigator, a psychic medium, an author, and a paranormal television producer of shows I know you've seen, from Destination Fear to Paranormal Captured to Hotel Paranormal and more. She also has this fabulous book I just got called Never Goodbye, Only Goodnight. But let me introduce you to MJ Dickson. MJ, thank you so much for coming on my show. I am so excited to have you.
Hi, Patty. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here too.
Me too. So I've just loved you from afar. We've only met briefly at a Paragon in Michigan, like that. Hello, goodbye, amongst the other 2,000 million people.
Yes.
So how did you fall into this paranormal world? I just wonder. Everybody's got such beautiful
Oh,
stories.
goodness. I am fifth generation crazy lady. My entire family are psychic mediums, all the ladies, and it's something that was passed down. So I grew up in a very open, very spiritual household. All things paranormal was pretty normal to us. And I grew up in Zimbabwe and South Africa. And
Oh,
out there, it's really taboo. You don't speak about the paranormal at all. Heaven forbid you speak about the fact that you can communicate with the afterlife. So it was very much kept under wraps until I moved to the UK and realized I could fly my weirdo flag really high and get into all things paranormal full time.
that's beautiful. So, being a medium, understand. So you were born that way, or it's in the blood, kind of thing. So, you talk to dead people. Me too. I get that. But how did you end up into going into let's go ghost hunting? That in itself is different. There's a lot of mediums who've
Absolutely.
never in their once have walked into a haunted hospital.
Well, I'm clairaudient, predominantly clairaudient, and I very much wanted to prove that the voices that I was hearing were not just in my head. I wasn't a crazy lady, and I got started with EVP work, electronic voice phenomenon. I wanted to be able to record their voices and go, "Hey, look, this is what I'm hearing." And so I very much started early on with researching as much as I could and reading books about it. And when I came to the UK, I started delving into actual research. I lived next to a very haunted hotel. It was built, the first hotel, in 1325. Yes. The current building, the new build, is 1527, the renovation. And it was also the ground of the gallows where 18 people were publicly hanged. So it's got some really cool history, some very dark history. And so I spent a lot of time in the hotel just doing EVP work. And from there, it kind of progressed. I started branching out and joining up with other people to investigate all sorts of locations. And it kind of rolled on from there.
That's beautiful. Don't you love it? Again, medium too. That all the stuff, like what you hear, like you said, or the stuff you thing you see, and all your life, people believe you or they don't believe you, whatever. Now there's equipment that will prove what you've been saying or seeing the whole time, like an SLS cameras doing the movement you're doing in another room. That makes me so happy. I am not a tech person, but nothing makes me happier. Like, yes, finally, it's
Yeah.
not in my head.
Exactly. And just to be able to show other people that communication with the other side is so beautiful that they can be a
Yes.
part of it too. And, they don't need to be a psychic medium. Everybody has psychic abilities to some point. But, when you can hear them clearly and other people can't, it's really frustrating. So I do tend to lean quite a bit on tech to prove it to other people.
That's beautiful. So I know I have a witchy little audience. It's a witching hour that you have a practice as well.
Mhm.
You're a witch. We'll give us the title to that. So
Yep.
how did that, is that part of how you were raised, or is that something you discovered?
Um, no, I was not raised that way. Well, I say that my family are very much natural healers, and a lot of them have been doing tarot readings or tea leaf reading and all sorts of things my entire upbringing. We never considered ourselves witches. That was just our way of life. It's just
Yeah.
generations that have been passed down, that knowledge. And my mum is a wonderful Christian lady, and my father was Greek Orthodox. And so I was christened in both churches. And I was about 10 years old, and they said to me, "What religion are you going to follow?" And I went, "I kind of like Wicca. That's pretty cool." I was like, "I kind of want to be a witch." And so, I just spent a lot of time learning about it and joined a coven and learned a bit more through celebrating the Sabbaths with them and all sorts of rituals and things. I'm solitary. I do have a phenomenal altar space. I'm very lucky. And I do a lot of work with herbs and creating tinctures and potions and spells. Yeah, that's kind of
Oh,
sort of my upbringing, but not quite.
I get it. Oh, that's beautiful. So what about the book? Where did where did the book come from? It is your story, as you say, lessons from the afterlife. Was this
It is.
inspired by you or just messages you need to get out to people?
Well, I started planning to write a book over 6 years ago. And somebody said to me, "What gives you the right to write a book? Do you have enough of a story to share? Do you have anything worth sharing?" And it kind of scared me because I thought, do I know enough? Do I know enough about mediumship to explain it to somebody else? Or do I have enough experience? And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to write my story. And it is very much a story of how I came to terms with my mediumship, how I developed it, lessons that I learned from mentors, both in spirit guides, as well as ancestors and family members, um, and, living mentors that I met along the way. And it was such an incredible journey. And I have so many people to thank. But they all taught me such valuable lessons, whether it was developing mediumship or dealing with loss. Unfortunately, I've lost a lot of family. And I thought, if my story can help somebody who is grieving, or if it can help a psychic medium out there who is struggling with their development and wrapping their head around being able to communicate with the other side, or whatever it is, maybe you just like ghost hunting and want to read about cool haunted locations.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of everything. It's a bit of witchy side, it's a bit of mediumship side, it's ghost hunting side. It's my story, and I hope it helps someone.
I love that. Again, I've just started reading it, but everything I've read, I like it because there's a simplicity and I really, which is my world. I'm very simple. This beautiful simplicity. Look, do this, feel this, and it's everything the way I want it explained to me, the way I try to explain it to other people. So
You know,
yeah,
that
you
was a
got.
that was a big thing for me because I wanted it to come across as though I'm sitting across the table from you, having a cup of coffee, and telling you all of these stories and the lessons that I learned. So it is very simple. It is a collection of about 85 different stories, and they are ranging from when I was 3 years old upwards. And it's all my big aha moments where I went, well, hell, that's how that works. Or now I understand. And it was just the way things were explained to me that really helped. So
That is
yeah.
beautiful. So okay, from three on to now, what is one of your really good aha moments? We love
Oh my
aha
goodness
moments.
me. Oh, that is a really broad question.
Oh
Um,
well.
I think, oh my gosh, I think one of my biggest aha moments was when I realized that I was actually the voice in my head that was giving me this amazing advice, by the way. I was like, oh, I give myself the best advice ever. Was actually my spirit guide. and and when I eventually I met him, it was such a huge moment for me because I was like, wait a second, I have this invisible A team on the other side that can help me with stuff. This is awesome. And from there, I really started getting more comfortable with my mediumship and with investigating. So that was probably one of the biggest aha moments for me.
That you have help. I love that. And I
I have
love
help.
that you call it A team. That's in your book too. I was like, yeah, I have an A
My
team.
18.
It's right there. So what is some things again, I know you teach as well, which is great. And I'm going to say you're going to have to come teach at my school, University Magic. Yes, my people will love you, even doing a specialty thing. What is something, again, I've had a lot of people new to our world that are listening, and some old pros have been doing it for decades. What is a tip that you would give somebody? I want to tune in. I want to learn my gifts. I want to. What are some of the like suggestions or things that you think that people could use and maybe don't do?
Put away your ego, because the ego is the part of us that goes, well, that information must have come from me. That couldn't have been from the spirit world, or you second guess yourself, or you don't follow your intuition because you're constantly you're so hung up on, well, is that my spirit guides? Was that me? Was that? Just put it away. Just put it aside. And if you get a sensation, if you get a flash image, if you hear something, if you get that gut instinct, go with it. Because the more you trust it, the stronger it becomes. The more you realize what you're trusting, and you start meeting your guides. So
Yeah.
that would be my number one tip.
That's a really good one. And before you shut yourself down, going, no, 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 because we are always our own worst enemies. Ah.
I used to second guess myself all the time. And then, I would find out that I was right, that there was actually a person by the name of John that passed away in that building in 1845. And I was going, well, damn, I knew that. I've got that information. And if only I'd written it down, or, just gone with it, maybe I could have got more information.
Right.
So go with the flow.
Right. I like that. Go with the flow and yeah. And trust you. Don't be afraid. My big thing is like, don't be afraid of being wrong. Because the more you're afraid of being wrong, the more you're going to be wrong. And the more you don't care if you're wrong, you're not wrong. That's just how I
That's
look at
it.
getting out of
Yeah.
your own way.
Just spit it out. I call it psychic.
Yeah, like there's a giraffe in the room. I surely shouldn't say that, but there's a giraffe in the room, and I've
Yep.
had that literal thing. So how do you use? Again, you're obviously trained and have developed this and born into it. What kind of going into scary places? Because again, especially when you do TV work, you're not going to where the fun ghosts are, we're hanging from the
Yep.
chandelier because they had their wedding there. You're going into the haunted hospitals and the dark places.
Yeah.
What kind of protection stuff do you do? Or do you?
I am a very big advocate for making sure that you take time to ground yourself before doing any of this work. Doesn't matter if you're doing a reading for somebody, or you're learning tarot, or you're investigating a haunted hospital. You need to ground yourself first and foremost and set your boundaries. You want to make sure that you are protecting yourself. And if that is envisioning a white light around yourself, then by all means do that. Envisioning a bubble around yourself isn't going to protect you. It's a bubble, but it's the intent, and your intent is everything. And setting your boundaries very early on, that this is my space. You communicate with me during these times. You don't come to my house. You don't come into my bedroom. You need to set boundaries with all the work you do with the other side. So for me, I usually make sure that I take some time to ground myself and protect myself, set my boundaries. And a lot of the times I work with crystals. So I'll have a variety of, black tourmaline and some selenite, or, maybe some tiger's eye, amethyst, depending on what I'm trying to achieve. And I'll keep those on me during investigations. And yeah, that's about
We're the
it.
same. I love it. We're the same person. You can hardly tell us apart. I've got the permaline over here, the selenite over here.
Yeah. I have
Yeah,
a piece of selenite right there.
the tools we have is beautiful. What? Okay, so just for entertainment purposes, what has surprised you the most, other than that all that wisdom isn't yours, but it really is yours because it's your guide? What has surprised you most about either your work or the other side, or discovering your
Ooh.
anything?
I think what a lot of people don't realize is that when you work with the other side, just because somebody has passed away, it doesn't mean that they don't have a great sense of humor, or, that their personality is still exactly the same. So if they were really boisterous and fun in this life, they're going to be exactly the same on the other side. And I've had some really fun, really lighthearted, and funny interactions with the other side. Also, what surprised me was guides tend to swear a lot. Well, mine do.
Ah,
So I thought they're all like love and light. No, no. They communicate with you on your level and according to your personality.
oh, that's
But
so cute.
I recently, like 2 weeks ago, I did an investigation of an 11-bedroom haunted inn. It was a grand old historic house, and it's been turned into this beautiful inn. And I was there completely on my own overnight. And I had probably one of the best spirit box sessions I've ever had in my entire career of investigating, because I had a ghost call me weird. And I thought it was so amusing. So it's really surprising to me just, how fun and lighthearted the other side can be.
Yes, yes. I agree wholeheartedly. So on the other side of that, what is the scariest or one of the scary things have you ever got like, oh my gosh, I'm over my head or
Oh, so many times. Yes, I have been in some situations where something was really dark and malevolent, and I didn't know how to deal with it because I am a bit, like everyone's so nice and so when I did come across something that was trying to harm me, it scared me really badly. It was in a place called Drakelow Tunnels, and I was with a small team of investigators, and I actually had something step in. I didn't realize that trance mediumship was a thing then. I mean, I knew of
Mhm.
it. I didn't realize how it worked. And a very malevolent male energy, decided to take advantage that I was distracted by the location and excited and not protecting myself. And he kind of stepped in. And I have very little memory of that. I
Yeah.
vaguely remember not being able to walk properly, my voice changing. And I remember saying to the people I was with, please just get me out of here. Like now, something's wrong. And when I came to, I was stood outside and just broke down crying because I felt violated. Something's taken over you, and if you're not careful, that can happen. And
Yeah.
I think I was a bit, invincible at the time. Like, oh, nothing can get to me. I'll be fine. I don't need to protect myself. And I learned the hard way.
Yeah. Anytime that I've ever had that negative experience is when, because I dropped the ball, I didn't protect myself enough, or I didn't set up my space. Exactly what you're saying. It's like, oops. Oh yeah. Big oops.
It's so important.
Ah. So what, what's on your bucket list? What is something that you would like to do, or place? Well, I could hear you on one side. What is something you would like to do, or play? Is there a place that you like just itching to go to that you haven't got to go to yet in the paranormal world?
So many. I mean, across the states, there's Waverly Hill Sanitarium. I'd love to do that. Trans-Allegheny, I'd love to go there. The Queen Mary. I mean, over here in the UK, there's numerous castles and places that I've not yet been able to explore. But my biggest bucket list is to go back to my roots. So I really want to investigate all things weird and wonderful in Africa, and sort of a supernatural Africa trip. And I'm going in 28 days.
Wow! Oh, that's beautiful.
I'm going
Are
to
you
see
doing part of a tour or on your own? Or
well, because I grew up in Zimbabwe and South Africa, I've still got a lot of family out there. And I grew up with, African cryptids and witch doctors and witches and sangomas and all these weird, wonderful things out there. And I took it for granted, because you grow up with it. You're like, oh, yeah, that's fine. It's there. And since I've been over here, I'm like, oh my God, Africa's so fascinating. This is incredible. We have the weirdest cryptids and spirits and beliefs. Mediumship in the African culture is so different. And so I decided to take a holiday for the first time in 9 years,
Wow.
and I am going back home for 3 weeks, for a holiday, but I've added on an extra couple of weeks just to purely explore all things supernatural in Africa for my next book.
Yay. Oh, we can't wait. You'll have to come back on and talk about it.
Oh, yeah, I'd love
Um, yeah, and I know you on that side of the pond, you guys take much longer vacations than us. Us Americans, like 3 days. What? That's all we.
I know, I know. I actually thought about moving to the States, and I was like, wow, kind of like my holiday time.
We don't get it.
Technically,
Yeah,
a couple of weeks is work.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
research.
Yeah, it's research. Yeah, it's research. It's your work. It's your book. And what I like, again, I haven't spent that much time in the UK. A little bit. Last year I went to Bosworth Hall and did some stuff. But you guys, like you said, the haunted hotel from 1300. We don't have that here. We have nothing. There was nothing here. There was teepees or something. So that's what fascinates me about Europe or going anywhere on older than America. This is the
It
oldest.
blew me away when I moved to the UK. Honestly, I mean, I moved into this little cottage, and I was like, "Oh, this place is so quaint." And they were like, "Yeah, it's 700 years old." And I was like, "What? How is it standing? Like what?" So yeah, I mean, it blows me away every single time. I've got a church next to my house that's built in the 1100s. And now I'm like, "Oh yeah." And I have friends from America that come over, and they're completely just awestruck by it. And I'm like, "That's a cute church." Now I take it for granted. But yeah, it's cool
Yeah.
history here.
Yeah, that's why I need to get back that way. And I'm West Coast, which is even newer. So I have a little, like, it's a 100-year-old house, which is ancient by our standards. And then on this half of the country, there's just nothing old. The oldest thing we have are like mining towns. So then you're going to Vulture City or Virginia City or Nevada City, which is great, but that's a whole different thing. They're little
Yeah.
wood shanties and things. So that's what fascinating. So in Africa, what are you going to get? Because that was less developed as far as you don't have, 1,000-year-old churches.
I'm going there more to explore the cultural side. So how does mediumship differ in the African culture? Like, what tools do they use for divination? Because a lot of them use bones, and a lot of it stems from hoodoo and voodoo, and there's just a lot of different influences. I mean, tea leaf reading is a very big thing in South Africa, but that's pretty much worldwide. And I'm just so fascinated in what else they use, and their tinctures and potions and beliefs. There's also a particular legend, a cryptid, if you will, that I am determined to go and find out more about. Well, two actually.
Tell
One
us.
is in Zimbabwe, and it is basically Zimbabwe's version of Nessie, the Loch Ness monster.
Oh,
So in the Zambezi River, there is allegedly a serpent-like creature it sounds very much like Nessie, but it's called the Nyami Nyami, which is a really fun name. And I want to go and find out a bit more about it. They still have statues all around the Zambezi River and Victoria Falls, depicting the Nyami Nyami. The Tonga people still make sacrifices to it every year. It's very interesting. And then in South Africa, they have a 2-foot tall goblin-like creature called the Tokoloshi. And it's allegedly a little spirit that is summoned by a Sangoma, a witch doctor. Legend has it that they have to use a fresh corpse to be able to resurrect this Tokoloshi. And there's actually a South African task force in the South African police force, that is purely there to attend supernatural calls. So
wow.
basically, if you phoned them and said, "Hey, I'm being cursed by a witch," they have to send somebody out to investigate. Or if you said the Tokoloshi stole my groceries, you'd have to send someone out. And I think it's so fascinating in a place where you can't speak publicly about paranormal investigating, and you can't speak publicly about being able to communicate with the other side, yet we have sangomas and witch doctors and cryptids and a South African police force dedicated to it. It's just so bizarre. So I kind of want to just explore that a bit more.
Oh, that's fascinating. Oh, okay. Other than a trip to Africa, which will be great, do you have other things coming up or things that people can come see you at?
Yes, so many. It's a very busy year for me. I actually kick off my book signing tour tomorrow,
Oh,
and I will be down at Bodmin Jail in Cornwall with another wonderful paranormal author, Mr. Richard Estep. Richard has written over 30 books, everything from paranormal to serial killers and true crime. And we had investigated Bodmin Jail together in 2018. And he wrote a book called The Hanging Pit. And there were 52 executions that took place at the jail by means of hanging. And so we decided we were going to go back there and do our book signing. And we're investigating the jail for 3 nights. And we're following that up with 2 nights at a fantastic castle down in Cornwall as well, where we'll be spending some time to do some research for another book. And he's writing the follow-up to The Hanging Pit. So other than doing the book signings and radio interviews and all of that, we'll be investigating. I am taking a group of people to the inn, Mary Arden Inn in Wilmcote, where the ghosts call me weird. We're going there the 24th and 25th of February. And then throughout this year, I have, oh my gosh, Sage Paracon, which is my paranormal convention that I host in England. That is going to be taking place in October. So it's the 26th to the 29th of October here in England at Coombe Abbey Hotel, which is also about 700 years old. It's 800 years old, if not more. And then we also do one in America. So we have Belgrove Plantation in Virginia. And that's going to be the 29th of September to the 1st of October. So we've got some really cool speakers joining us there as well.
that's beautiful. Yes, all friends, including say hi to Richard. I love Richard. I can't remember what we did. They kind of squished together. We were somewhere back east recently in an old hotel somewhere recently doing a Paracon. But he actually he did the foreword to this book, right? So
He did,
Richard's
yeah.
great.
He is amazing. Richard and I have actually been working together on a really interesting research project for the last year and a half. We have been delving into psychic remote viewing, being as though I'm here in England and he's running all over the States investigating. He will not put anything on social media. He'll send me a Zoom link for audio only, and he'll say, hey, tune in, see what you get. And he'll do a walk around the location with me on a Zoom call, and I give him all the information that I'm getting, and some of it's been really bizarre, really bizarre. And he just sees what I come up with and matches that to his investigation and the history. And it's progressed over a year and a half to the point where I was able to pinpoint the exact house he was in.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I nearly cried.
Wow, that is amazing.
We're going to actually be doing a talk about it, about all of our research at Michigan Paracon this year. Richard and
I'll
I
be
will
there.
be together. So we'll see you there.
Yay. Yay. Oh, I'm coming to that talk no matter where I am. Yeah, that's fascinating. Now are you just like, okay, I'm here or does he like psychically give you is he trying to like work his in too? Because
When we started, he was like, you're not allowed to read my mind. I'm like, I'm not a mind reader. I'm a psychic. Like, I can't tell you what's going through your head. So you're not giving me the information. But what I did find, because I had no idea that I could remote view like that. He kind of called me up and went, hey, do you want to do it? And I went, don't know if I can, but sure, let's do it. And that's what I mean. Put your ego aside and just go for it. Even if you don't know if you can, try. And the first couple of times were hit and miss. I picked up on a few things, but then I realized that I could tune into his energy and pick up what was around him. And so if anyone walked within about a meter of him while we were on the call, I would start picking up on them as well. So I've picked up some interesting stuff that not even Richard knew about.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And he has a big energy. He's this big, beautiful man. So I can imagine you would have to almost tap. You couldn't not tap into the energy of what you're doing.
I don't know where he is. So there's not like, oh, okay, I'm on the Queen Mary. Let's try and tap into that location, because I have no idea where he is. So my only sort of tether is tapping into his energy. And we have also decided we're going to try and progress this research a little bit more and not even have the call link. Just have him say, listen, I'm going to be at a location in 2 hours. Well, we're just going to have him go to a location and just say, hey, in 2 hours, I'm going to be somewhere. Can you tune in and tell me if you get anything without an audio link, without anything, just trying to tap into his energy. So we're progressing the experiments and doing a lot more transatlantic stuff. It's
That's
fascinating.
fabulous. That is fascinating. Yeah, because I've never really done that either. I mean, I'll tune in and this is over here and this and they were lost over here, but not anything like that. That's pretty
It's
awesome.
different, and that's what I love
Yeah.
about it. It's something I've never tried before. I didn't know that I could do it at all. I didn't know how to do it. It was kind of trial and error. And through doing this, I'm understanding more about remote viewing. And I'm learning myself how to tune in and how to tap in. And it's almost like you're using a very different part of your mediumship. It's not the same as being in a location, and it's very different to doing a reading for somebody. So it's been a learning curve, and I hope to be able to teach people more about it so that they can, try and progress that field of research even more.
I am in that class or reading that book. Anyway, oh my gosh, so many questions, but we do have to get going. So, but you're going to have to come back. You have lots more to talk about. But
I
tell
would love.
people now that everybody is completely in love with you like I am and intrigued by you, how can people find you, follow you, et cetera, et
I
cetera?
I'm on Facebook, MJ Dickson. I have a website, which is mjdickson.com. And you can find me through Sage Paranormal, which is more of my events that I do, from paranormal 10-day holidays around the world, or Sage Paracon. So either of those.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for bringing your magic to the witching hour. And you
Thank
guys
you
get
so
this
much.
book. Get this book. You're going to love it. And you're going to learn and you're going to be entertained. Uh, so may I say never goodbye, only good night.
Good night.